You hang with me. I want to bring in Congressman Swalwell, who sits on the Judiciary and Intelligence Committees. What do you think we saw today?
Well, good evening, Ari. First, I would be remiss if I didn't just quickly pay tribute to my colleague, Elijah Cummings, who is a thunderous presence for equality, accountability, and moral clarity.
I appreciate
I just want to make sure.
I appreciate you bringing it up. We're hitting that a little later in the show, but let's begin with that because you raised such an important moment for obviously you, your colleagues. So we'll get to it later, but let's get to it now as well. If you want to tell us a moment or two of your reflection on it.
Well, sure. I mean, I'll just say there was, he's been a part of this investigation, and there was some thought as to whether we should delay today's hearing. But all of us know that, he has, been such a force for protecting our democracy that he would hate if we delayed just one day of getting to the truth. So we are marching on, doing what he would want us to do. And so, yes, today on a break from hearing from Ambassador Sondland, I'm standing right outside the SCIF, the secure room where we're meeting with him. And on the big screen, you see Mick Mulvaney holding this press conference. And there was just jaws on the floor, including my Republican colleagues, as Mick Mulvaney said that. Yes.
So you saw that? I haven't heard that. You saw Republicans in real time. It's not like they had extra time to frame it. You're saying their first reaction was what?
They're shaking their heads and like, did he just say that? And I patted one of them on the shoulder and I said, have fun cleaning that one up. But Ari, the way I see it is Mick Mulvaney today co-signed on Donald Trump's confession to extortion.
You view it as a type of confession?
Yes. We've always known, Donald Trump said it was a quid pro quo, essentially. Then they tried to back off once they recognized what that meant for impeachment, removal, and potential criminal liability. But going back to Glenn Kirshner's point, oftentimes it's said in court, how could the defendant be so stupid? And as my brothers who are police officers tell me, we don't catch the smart ones. So I don't think that there's any, brilliant legalese going on here or Jedi tricks. Sometimes they just say the quiet parts out loud.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you put it very starkly, and I think the evidence of that, and we were sort of having that debate out here on the show because we have people with different ideas and talk it out. But when you look at how quickly they're backtracking, the lawyers saying, well, this wasn't our advice, and then Mulvaney with this statement saying multiple times during this briefing, I took 25 questions. I referred to Trump's interest in rooting out corruption. There was, quote, absolutely no quid pro quo. So now you have Mulvaney admitting quid pro quo. We just showed that. Then later claiming he didn't, which is a lie. And we know it's a lie because of the basis of which he admitted. And then the question becomes, what do your committees do about this? Do you feel any need to hear further from Mulvaney under oath before you move to votes? And what happens if he doesn't show? Because the Stonewall strategy we've seen cracking a little bit.
Well, suspects who confess to a crime are still entitled to a fair hearing. So we're going to give the president a fair hearing. You can move a lot faster when you have confessions from the suspects and other witnesses around it. But yes, we're going to bring in the relevant witnesses and conduct this fairly but expeditiously. I also just want to say this, Ari, about what we heard from, Mick Mulvaney, which is, of course, this is what they were doing. And the process attacks that I hear from Republicans reflect that they don't want to defend what was actually going on, the extortion scheme with our taxpayer dollars. And as you know, Ari, as a lawyer, law professors tell you when the facts are against you, argue the law. When the law is against you, argue the facts. And when both are against you, just pound your fists on the table and shout really loud. And that's what I think we're seeing right now.
I want to ask you something else because you're involved in this, you're an investigator, and you're around all these individuals. We were watching this in the newsroom today, and we were just astounded. I mean, I could not understand how the president's top aide, who's been listening to Donald Trump run around and say no quid pro quo, no quid pro quo, would come out and admit it. And we just played that sound. And then pressed by the reporters, wait, are you really admitting this? He did. Do you have, and does it matter to your investigation to have a theory of why this is happening? In other words, is there a bubble? Is the lack of regular press briefings made a lot of people soft? Is there really a lack of experience at this point with Mr. Mulvaney taking straightforward, inquisitive questions and thus fumbling them? Because it seems that in a very appreciable way, some of the best public evidence that there was a bribery plot with Ukraine just burst out today, and it came from the president's top aide.
It's a great question. I think you can sum it up with the fact that this July 25 shakedown call was made the day after Bob Mueller testified to Congress. they think they can get away with it. That's really what's at stake here. There's not really a dispute about what happened. And so what I submit to my Republican colleagues is our children are watching what we do next with our democracy. Donald Trump said he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and get away with it. And we as Americans have to answer whether he is right about who we are. I am betting that he's really, really wrong.